Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lana. Today I'm gonna bring you a book haul. These are 8 books that I've bought over the last several months. I'm actually very proud of myself because 5 of these books I've already read, and I'm even more proud of myself over the fact that even though some I bought that I've already read, so I read them in a different format and then I finally got a physical copy, and others I ended up reading right after purchasing, which in my world is the ideal situation when you don't just accumulate books but you buy them and read them within several, let's say, weeks. I'm gonna start with 2 books that I read a while back. First one is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I read it during a readathon. I think it was called the Magical-a-thon. Feels like it was a really long time ago. I read it on ebook and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I remember filming my reaction to the ending and I was all over the place because I was so excited about it. I actually never continued in the series. I've always wanted to, but because I liked this book so much, it stopped me from moving forward because I wanted to keep it for some later date, and I fear that now I might have to either skim this book again or look up the plot before going into the second book because I don't remember much. I saw someone selling their book secondhand online and I grabbed it because this is a 5-star and I'm glad to have it. It's also a hardback, though it's kind of a smaller hardback. Next is a book that I don't really consider in my head as a book, more like a workbook, and it means a lot to me. It is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. If you're not familiar with The Artist's Way, it's awesome and you should look into it. Ideally, the way this book is set up is there are 12 chapters and each chapter is for 1 week. So in an ideal world, this takes 12 weeks to read, and at the end of each chapter there are a set of tasks that you should do before going to the next chapter. The Artist's Way is the seminal book on the subject of creativity, an international bestseller. It has inspired millions to overcome the limiting beliefs and fears that can inhibit the creative process. A revolutionary program for artistic renewal from the world's foremost authority on the creative process, The Artist's Way is a life-changing book. This is not just for artists or creatives. This is literally for anyone because we are all artists and we're all creatives. I read it in 2020. My friend told me about it, and she had like a group of people who were all actors or writers or directors, some kind of theater or cinema creators, and they were all starting this, let's call it, program. And so we would Zoom each Sunday and talk about our experiences, what we've uncovered. It's a tough book just because it requires you to dig deep, and some tasks are ones that were pretty simple to me and I didn't really get much out of them, and there were others that felt like I was opening jars that have never been opened before, and I've cried many times during this whole process. It actually took me about 6 months to complete all the chapters and all the tasks, and I vowed to myself to repeat this whole process every 2 to 3 years. It has been 2 years, so I think later this year I might start on this journey again with chapter 1, and I'm intimidated but I'm very excited. The first time I read it was also an ebook, and I still have my ebook copy with all the notes I made in it, and I'm so happy to have found a physical copy where I can make notes inside and highlight and just have it be a physical presence in my life. The next 3 books are books that I read soon after buying, and again, I'm very proud of myself about that. So both of these nonfiction books, or rather these authors, I heard about in the masterclass ads on YouTube. You know how they change them and there are different people and you see different programs that masterclass provides. So both of these men have their own masterclasses, and I liked the ad and I looked into their work, and so I picked up To Sell is Human by Daniel H. Pink, The Surprising Truth About Moving Others and Never Split the Difference, Negotiating as If Your Life Depended on It by Chris Voss. So these are in some ways similar, but I would 100% recommend to everyone this book. I finished it, a week or 2 has passed and I'm still thinking about it, and I just want to have this book nearby always to remind me of several things that are written in here. This is so good. So Chris Voss, he was the FBI's lead international kidnapping negotiator, and he's teaching negotiating techniques, and mind blown. Oh, the sun is out. This one is also interesting. It's less about, so here's what you do, and more of here's how selling used to be done in the past. Here, how it's changed now. Here's why the techniques of the past worked back then and why right now that is no longer the case. So it's a little more of a look at society and the way we've changed, though it does have some techniques and tips and tricks and stuff like that. Though I will say that this felt like it was written for people of his own age. I think he's like 50 maybe, based on his picture. Definitely felt like he was explaining some things to me that my generation were already on board, and you're like, no, you like, trust me, you have to trust me, this is how it works. And I'm like, I know, I already know this. Still a good book, but comparing to this one, you can't compare them. Let me lower these blinds. Whew, okay. Next book is Ghost Month by Ed Lin. This is a murder mystery set in Taipei, in Taiwan, and the things that I read on Goodreads before buying it, people were saying that this is an interesting murder mystery, and the plot is interesting, but it's very heavy on culture. So this is definitely written for people who don't know much about the history and the culture of China and Taiwan, and need a lot of explaining. So we're following the main character, who is from Taipei. He grew up with this girl who was his first love, and they were planning to one day leave Taipei, leave Taiwan for America and never come back and have a new life in America. And when they finished school, they went to different American universities and made a pact to not contact each other before they're ready to fully commit to each other. His life did not go as he planned. He had to drop out of university and come back to Taipei, and we meet him as Qingnan runs a food stand in Taipei's night market, the Shilin Thai market, night market, and he sees the newspaper where it says that a body of a woman has been found, and he realizes that that woman is his childhood sweetheart, who is supposed to be in America being successful, and instead has been found dead by a highway in Taipei, working in a shady food stand. So we have that whole story of him trying to figure out what happened to her, and throughout this whole book, the reason I feel like why it's so big, it does talk a lot about what is Taipei. He walks down the street, it explains why the street is called this way, what is the history behind this name, what happens on the street, where is which monument. Every time he eats something, there's the history of the food he's eating. There's a lot of explanation about the political system, the history between China and Taiwan. There's a lot of historical and cultural explanations, which is something that people on Goodreads in the comments were complaining about, saying that it was a little too much, but that is precisely why I bought this book. And I don't know if I've spoken of this before or not, but I'm teaching myself Mandarin, and I don't know much about Asia. I don't know much about the history or the culture, and Taipei specifically is a place I really want to visit one day. And when I found this book, that it was a murder mystery, which I love murder mysteries, and plus it explains a lot of these things that I think are useful to know, and I am interested in knowing. I picked it up and I really enjoyed it. The plot of the murder mystery was interesting. It wasn't necessarily like the best murder mystery I've ever read, but I really appreciate this book for all of the things it taught me. So I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I would recommend this book broadly. And now to the books that I've not read and I will not be speaking as much on. First, I have a nonfiction called Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art by James Nestor. I'm pretty sure it was in one of my TBR finds videos. I saw it being sold in one of the bookstores here in Moscow, and I was like, that's the book I wanted. And I know I could have gotten it much cheaper on ebook, but I found nonfiction to be a little harder to pick up as it is compared to fiction, especially if it's on my phone. I would rather go to something with a plot. So physical copy will ensure that I will get to this. Plus, I'm super interested in the topic. The fact that this is a new science of a lost art and all the reviews I read about this book, I'm very intrigued to see what this will tell me, what I will learn from this. And I have 2 murder mysteries. Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I almost said Holly Black. Holly Jackson. I don't think I need to explain what this is. This is such a beloved book. I feel like everyone's talked about this. This is a YA murder mystery, and I've never heard anyone speak of this in average terms. Everyone loves this book. So I have very high hopes for it. And again, it was on sale. I saw it and I thought, I need to pick it up. The last one has a great cover, which is not why I bought it. It's The Plot, and this is a murder mystery, and based on what it says in the back, it's like a classic story of a writer stealing another story. When a young writer dies before completing his first novel, his teacher Jake, himself a failed novelist, helps himself to its plot. The resulting book is a phenomenal success, but Jake worries, what if somebody out there knows? I feel like this is the type of story that's been told so many times. All I know is that Gabby Reads loved this book, and she reads a lot of mystery thrillers, and I trust her opinion on them. She loved it, so I picked it up. And these are all the books that I bought. Here they are. I don't buy books that often. Having a lot of books that I've not read brings a lot of anxiety to me, so I'm actually very proud that I'm very happy at the rate at which I've been reading books that I already own these past few months. Hopefully this will continue. Let me know if you care about any of these books, if you like them, if you read them, if you're intrigued by them, or leave me a sunflower emoji to let me know that you were here. And I will see you in my next video.